I don't have time to wake up early. Has COVID totally thrown your routine out of whack? Has it meant that you're going to bed later and then getting up later? Or worse, going to bed later and then having to get up at the same time and then feeling tired and unproductive all day? Well, it totally has for me. And you might be wondering, well, so what? What's the big deal? But for somebody who likes to wake up early and get ahead of the day, maybe go for a walk or get some reading in before work, this has really thrown me out. So I decided it was time to do something about it, which is why I picked up Hal Elrod's The Miracle Morning and decided to give it a reread. Now, it promises to transform my life by 8 a.m, but at this rate, I'll just be happy if it gets me out of bed by 8 a.m. So let's see what it's all about and whether or not it can help. So, in a nutshell, Hal says there are 6 habits that we should incorporate into our morning routines. These are silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing, otherwise known as savers. So let's take a look at these one by one. Number 1, silence. Now, the most obvious type of silence is probably meditation, but it's not for everybody. So if it's not for you, like it's not for me, then there are other ways to incorporate this habit. One of those ways is through self-reflection. So what we could do is we could take 5 minutes to think about the previous day. What went well, what didn't go well, or what did we learn? On the flip side, we could think about the day ahead. We could think about the things that would make today great, what we have planned and what we want to accomplish, or how we could improve on today versus yesterday. But if that's still a bit too much for first thing in the morning, which I totally understand, then we could just do some deep breathing exercises or think about things that we're grateful for. Ultimately, the goal here is to just be quiet. But given that I've spent the last 8 hours being quiet while I was sleeping, I'm not really here for the silence. However, I do like the self-reflection part, and this ties in very nicely to our 6th habit, which we'll come to later in the video. Number 2, affirmations. Now, I'm not going to lie, this sounds totally woo-woo to me, but if it's good enough for Muhammad Ali, then it's good enough for me. He says it's the repetition of these affirmations that lead to belief, and once this belief becomes deep conviction, then things start to happen. In the book, Hal lays out a simple 5-step process to follow to create our first affirmation. Number 1, what do we really want? We need to be able to clearly articulate exactly what we want our ideal life to be like, and we can organise this into different areas, so health and fitness, finances and relationships. The point is to start to reprogram our minds with these new behaviours, beliefs and attitudes. Number 2, why do we want it? Now, we really need to get to our deepest level whys here to give us that unstoppable purpose, because without it, on the days where we're not feeling up for it, or we're wondering what the point is, or we really can't be bothered, then this is what will drive us and get us up and give us purpose to carry on. Number 3, who are you committed to being to create it? Now, your life only gets better after you get better, and it's not going to be an easy journey. So you need to be sure that going in, you are committed and you want to achieve this. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Number 4, what are you committed to doing in order to attain it? In other words, what do you need to implement on a consistent basis in order to turn your ideal life into a reality? The more specific you can be here, the better. So think about frequency, quantity, and timeframes. But remember, start small. You need to build to your ideal goal. Start by just writing a daily or a weekly goal and then deciding on when you can increase it. Number 5, add inspirational quotes and philosophies. By focusing on these every day, you'll begin to integrate them into your way of living. And as a result, you'll improve your results and quality of life. Now, just a word of caution. Mindlessly reciting or repeating your affirmations is probably not going to be very effective. You need to tap into your emotions and really feel and believe them. Now, the other thing is that you shouldn't get caught up in trying to create the perfect affirmation. Like we discussed in the previous video, these are always going to be a work in progress, and you can always tweak them and evolve them. In fact, you absolutely should keep tweaking and evolve them. They're never going to be a final version. Now, that all sounds great in theory, but what does that actually look like in practice? I'll give you one of my examples. So my goal is to become a full-time content creator, whether that's a YouTuber or podcaster, or whatever the platform might be when I actually get the chance to do this. Now, my why is that I want to continuously grow and develop and step outside of my comfort zone to create things that I want to create and believe in whilst being able to help others. This is still very much a work in progress. I am committed, though, to being able to be a YouTuber and podcaster part-time while still continuing my full-time day job. and I am committed to uploading one video a week to this YouTube channel every Monday, and I'm committed to putting out one podcast live streamed every Tuesday on my podcasting channel. And the two things that I always come back to are, number one, Tim Ferriss's "What would this look like if it were easy?" and number two, #no regrets. There's a great Robin Sharma quote, no relation, that says, "One of the saddest things in life is to get to the end and look back in regret, knowing that you could have been, done, and had so much more." And this really, really, really gets me, and it's what gives me the drive to keep going and keep pushing content out, even when I don't feel like it. Number 3, visualizations. Now this is very closely linked to affirmations. In fact, it almost provides a turbo boost to your affirmations. This is the process of imagining exactly what you want to achieve and then mentally rehearsing what you'll need to do to achieve it. For Hal, once he's read his affirmations, he would spend 5 minutes visualizing his ideal day, so performing all his tasks with ease, enjoyment, and confidence. For example, when he was writing the Miracle Morning, he would visualize his day writing with that ease, that confidence and enjoyment. He would visualize himself free of fear and stress and writer's block. And he would also visualize the end result, which is people reading and enjoying his book and telling others about it, which I thought was a great addition. Now, it was this visualization of an enjoyable process that helped motivate him into action and to overcome procrastination. Okay guys, time for question of the week. If you had 1 extra hour in your day, what would you do with it? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Habit number 4, exercise. Now a lot of people say they don't have time to exercise or they're just too tired to do it after work. So by incorporating it into your morning routine, it means you can get it out of the way before you get on with your day, and you don't have to worry about squeezing it in later when you know you're not going to do it. But given that this is only one of 6 habits that we're trying to incorporate into our morning routine, it could be that you can't fit in a full, proper workout. But the idea of this is to just get your heart rate up and to get your blood flowing and oxygen into your lungs, because this will give you an energy boost. And that means that you'll be able to think better and concentrate for longer. Now, I personally like to get my workout in after work because it breaks up the day for me, especially now that we're working from home and I pretty much stay in the same room all the time. But what working from home has meant is that throughout the day, I'm literally sitting on my ass 8 hours a day because I'm not going anywhere other than to the kitchen or to pee. Now, in the office, at least I would walk around a little bit, go and see some people, or take the stairs. That's all gone. So about 4 months ago, I started to do a daily walk, and it probably wasn't the best time to start because winter and all, but for the most part, I managed to keep it up most days. And the benefit about this is that I would get back and start work having done 4 to 5k, and knowing that if I did proceed to sit on my arse for the next 8 hours, it wouldn't be the end of the world because I'd managed to get my steps in and the heart rate up and my blood flowing and circulation and all that jazz that apparently we need. The added benefit to going for a walk every day though was that I could also listen to an audiobook while I was out. So I was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Productivity win right there. Habit number 5, reading. Now this is something I really wish I did more of. Even when I do manage to make time for it, it's something that I can't stay consistent with. And it's the first thing that gets sacrificed when I get busy or I inevitably wake up late. But books contain so much knowledge and wisdom that as somebody who wants to continuously grow and develop, it's something that I have to make time for. Now, doing the maths, or at least letting Hal do the maths, reading just 10 pages a day means that I will get through 3,650 pages in a year. Now that's the equivalent of 18 200-page books or 12 300-page books. Now even if it is only 12 books a year, so 1 book a month, don't be put off by the fact that it doesn't sound a lot, or if you're one of these people that wants to do 1 book a week, which maybe I am a little, because there is much more value in reading 1 book and implementing the knowledge and the insights from it than there is in reading 52 books and doing nothing with it. Also, don't be afraid to reread books, as you'll likely pick up something different every time you read them. You'll resonate with different things depending on where you are in your life and what's important to you at that time. For me personally, if there was one habit that I incorporated out of all of these 6, it would be this one, because I feel like it's the one that would add the most value to my life. Habit number 6, scribing, or writing for those who aren't from the 1800s. The most common type of writing is probably journaling, But again, just like silence had different variations, so does writing. Now, David Allen says, your head is for having ideas, not for holding them. So the idea here is to just get thoughts out of your head and onto paper. There are so many benefits to writing things down, like the fact that you are more likely to remember things and capture ideas. It helps you figure things out and gain clarity. It helps you connect the dots and review lessons and acknowledge progress. And it frees up space in your head for more ideas. And my favourite, you get to buy fancy stationery. But not too fancy, because then you'll end up not actually using it. You should document your insights, ideas and breakthroughs, your realizations, successes and lessons learned, as well as any areas of opportunity, personal growth and development. For me, there are two ways of doing this. The first is a brain dump. Now, this is exactly kind of what it says on the tin. You literally dump out the contents of your brain. Pen and paper, write all the thoughts that are coming to you. Maybe set yourself a timer of 5 or 10 minutes so you don't go overboard. Now, I personally like to do this when I've come back from my walk, because I've usually had a bazillion ideas or thoughts going through my head that I want to come back and just write them all down. And number 2 is the daily log. And this is something I actually prefer to do before bed, because what it is a log of everything that's happened in the day, and it allows me to reflect on what's happened, which links back to our habit number 1, which was silent, and the self-reflection part. Now, it can be done in the morning, it's totally up to you when you do it, but like I said, if I do it at the end of the day, it allows me to clear my head before I go to sleep, and that way I'm not ruminating or thinking about things while I'm trying to get some sleep. A third option for writing is creating a gratitude journal. Now, it's as simple as writing 3 things that you're grateful for every single day, so it's not really going to take much time, but I personally struggled to stay consistent with this one because I ended up just being grateful for pizzas and cookies most days, which there's nothing wrong with, but I suppose it kind of gets boring when you're writing the same things over and over again. But I'm sure the normal people among us will have other things to be grateful for. And my final tip, I suppose, is just on the analog versus digital debate. I personally prefer pen and paper because I think better on paper, but if digital is your preferred option, then absolutely go with it. I just didn't like digital because I end up tending to over-engineer things and making them much more complicated than they need to be. It's really easy to get pen and paper out and just do a brain dump, but this is totally personal preference, so go with whatever option works for you. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of the 6 habits. Now, Hal actually recommends that all 6 of these habits are done within 1 hour. So what that really looks like is 5 minutes for silence, 5 minutes for affirmations, 5 minutes for visualization, and then 20 minutes for exercise, 20 minutes for reading, and 5 minutes for scribing, which, if my maths is right, should bring us to 60 minutes. Now, what I will say is that if this sounds like something you absolutely want to incorporate, but don't have a morning routine at the moment, then it's probably not best to go gung-ho and try and incorporate everything all at once, because even if you do it for a few days, it's likely that you're not going to be able to keep it up and remain consistent with it. So if this is the case, then Hal actually recommends a 6-minute miracle morning routine, where you allocate just 1 minute per each of the habits. And this is a great way to just build the habit so you can remain consistent and make it sustainable. And then after that's embedded, you can start building it out slowly and increasing the time allocated to each of the habits. So for me right now, I actually only want to incorporate 2 of these habits, and that is reading and writing. I want to allocate 20 minutes to reading every morning and 10 minutes to writing, which means I only need to get up 30 minutes earlier than I do at the moment. And considering I'm not getting up and out of bed until 8:30, I think 8 o'clock is absolutely reasonable. In order to keep myself accountable, I'm going to tweet out every single day for the next week whether or not I have actually got up on time and done these 2 things. So if you want to check on my progress, then be sure to go and follow me over at Twitter, and feel free to call me out if I don't keep up with it. So all in all, this book has been a kick up the backside at the time I need it the most, so I will call that a win. And hopefully it will be even more of a win in a week's time when I have actually executed on this. Now, I'd love to know what your next actions are after this, so please let me know in the comments below or tweet me so we can all keep each other accountable. That's it for this week, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!